This week, we're going to look at the cost of capital. And that is basically, how do you decide how to borrow money? We understand that businesses frequently need to get more money. Now, usually this is for expansion purposes. Early days when you're just setting up a company, it's just to get yourself established. But expansion can occur at any point, and money isn't always readily available. So think of yourself. You want to buy a new car, and the price of cars these days, new cars, is just astronomical. You've been a good worker, you've saved your money, you've worked hard, you've done all these things, you weren't spending a lot, but chances are you didn't save up enough to buy your car. So you have to figure out, how are you going to be able to buy the car? All right. Most of us take out a car loan. And so the question is taking a loan the best option for the company? Well, companies have two options when it comes to acquiring money. One is debt and one is equity. Now, equity includes retained earnings. So in case of an individual, that would be your savings, right? So businesses retain or keep some of the profit that they make and put it in a savings account. They use it for expenses. The other option of acquiring money is as part of equity, would be to sell stock. All right. So selling stock most definitely is an option for businesses. Now, what is the cost of selling stock? Well, from the buyer's perspective, from the shareholder's perspective, if they're buying stock, what is the opportunity cost of the money they use to buy the stock? All right. Now, if you remember from your macro class, opportunity cost is the cost you give up, or what you could have done. All right. So in the case of the opportunity cost of the stock is, what would you have used that money for that you're not doing? Next best alternative, not taken, type of a deal. What is the opportunity cost when dividends are not paid? If you recall, a dividend is simply when the company takes all or part of its profits and divides it up amongst its shareholders. So if you were expecting dividends as a shareholder and they don't come, what are you losing there? And then the other cost is, what is the cost of buying or selling the stock? If you're buying or selling through a broker, are they taking a percentage of the cost? Things like that. Now, there are distinct advantages to using equity, and that is, you don't have to repay it. When you sell stock, the buyer is buying something. They're buying a piece of the company. So you don't have to repay that. The problem is that every time you sell stock, you are giving away a little piece of control. You now have somebody else you have to take into consideration when you're using equity. Okay. So there are distinct advantages and disadvantages of selling stock or using equity. The other option to acquire money is to use debt. Now, those of you who have done some accounting, you always heard of a debt equity ratio. What's the ratio between the shares of stock that you've sold and the debt that you have? Now, debt is simply where you borrow money. Do you take a loan? Who do you take the loan from? Right? All of those things. Now, the great advantage of borrowing the money is that you're not losing control. You're not diluting ownership. Also, depending on where you are, the interest that you pay on that debt may be tax deductible. So you may be able to decrease your tax burden by having some debt. The problem with debt is that you have to repay it. Just like that car loan you took, you have to repay it. So what are the costs of the debt? The first cost is what we call we've talked about this before, I believe, the risk-free interest rate. If there is no risk to taking this loan, what's the interest rate you have to pay? If there is a risk, then there's going to be a premium added. The more the risk, the higher the premium, the higher the interest rate you have to pay. Right? So you as a business person need to now balance. Does it make sense to take a loan, or does it make sense to sell stock? So regardless of whether you're using debt or equity, we need to see what factors are going to influence the cost of capital. Some of these characteristics are unique to the MNC. Obviously, a multinational is going to be larger than most domestic companies. So their size is going to affect the cost of capital. Obviously, the bigger a company, the more retained earnings they have, the more access they have to money, to financial institutions. Whether you're looking at just the financial institutions in their own country, or in the case of an MNC, you're looking at access to international markets. The more access you have, the more likely it is you're going to find a cheaper place to get the loan and all of that. So MNCs most definitely have, because of their size, because of their connections, have a much easier time or cheaper time acquiring capital. Have you diversified, both by country or by goods? All right. The more diversification, the less risk you're seeing, so interest rates should be lower, things like that. Exchange rate risks, country risks. We talked about country risks last time. So things like that would be what you would want to look at when looking at the cost of capital. Now, when we look at these costs, we've got to, again, do a risk analysis. There are two types of risks, general types of risks that we're looking at. One is a systematic risk, And that's a risk of directly associated with the market and economic conditions. All right, this is a real macro view here, versus a non-systematic risk, where this is the risk of the security itself, of the loan itself. Are there risks of the business? Is there financial risks? Is there liquidity issues? All of those. These are specific to the type of security or the type of method you're using. So again, lots of things you need to take a look at. Obviously, the costs of capital is going to differ from one country to another. You need to know or understand the differences and how much the differences are, because that can explain comparative advantage of one MNC over another. It could explain why an MNC leaves one country and goes to another, or just enters another country. And the cost of capital is going to determine whether you use debt or equity. Now, keep in mind that the cost of capital equals the cost of debt plus the cost of equity. So let's look at the cost of debt versus the cost of equity. Now, the cost of debt, and remember, debt is borrowing money, that is going to differ from one country to another because of interest rates. Now, again, remember, at this point, you should be feeling comfortable with the idea that there's so many different interest rates. But if we're talking about the risk-free interest rate, again, the interest rate, if there were no risk involved, what would the interest rate be? All right. And this tends to be pretty much determined by supply and demand for money. And then on top of that risk-free interest rate is going to be the premium, the risk premium. So how much more would the interest rate be? For example, if you and I were to both walk into a dealership to buy a car and we both need a loan, chances are the interest rate that I pay could be different than the interest rate that you pay. And that's going to be based on the amount of risk the company is incurring by lending to me and the risk they incur by lending to you. Now, I'm probably older than you, so I have a longer credit history. All those things that go into my credit rating. Let's say I have a better credit score than you do. The higher my credit score, the less risk is involved. So the premium on my loan may be lower than the premium on your loan. All right. So the premium will be different from company to company, from country to country. Now, if we look at the costs of equity, remember, we're looking at the opportunity cost. The more investment opportunities that a investor has, the more the premium is going to have to be. You're going to have to pay me more to encourage me to buy your stocks rather than buying stocks of another company.